back to Ekpon Soch Ki Tea Talk Train of Thought with a series of an episode with Mr. Tarundeep Anand, a visionary leadership in the global education and the managing director of a universal business school. It's an interesting episode what we are having with Mr. Tarundeep Anand, and in the earlier episode we have seen his passion as extracurricular activities which are concerned and love for sports and how these sports as far as sports and the corporate world which is concerned, like how they gel well. Now in this episode we are going to talk about his experience as the corporate world which is concerned. Sir, welcome back again to Tea Talk Ekpon Soch Ki. Sir, now it was very interesting insights to what we have. Now being a banker, can you please share your experience of being part of a multinational organization and as the global CEO? Can you please share your experience with the target audience?
So, initially as a banker, I was started as a banker in the junior mode, and everybody thinks banking and finance is about finance. No, let me tell you, it's largely about marketing and sales. You got products, you got to push into the marketplace. That's how a bank makes money. The bank doesn't make money by creating a product. Unless nobody is a buyer for that product, the product could be a structured, credit product. It could be a investment product. It could be a mergers and acquisition consultancy project. It could be merchant banking. It's diverse. So I would just like to blow that myth that, in fact, bankers are the best salespeople because you don't have a product to show. It's not like a car that you can see it and say, okay, here. In fact, bankers are the best sales guys because you're talking in terms of, taking something which you can't see, can't touch, can't feel, and putting it into the market and getting a great ROI for the institution and for the customer. Yeah. So that's the banking myth I'd like to bust. And it's exciting, by the way. It's great fun, and I think sales is something every day you're doing. Every day you're selling your ideas. You're selling yourself to your boss. You're selling yourself to your colleagues. So anybody who thinks that sales is a bad thing, if you want to be getting to the top, right? If you want to become an entrepreneur, then you've got to generate revenue because that's what pays for all the salaries. And I would like to just say this, the earlier days in the world of business, we used to say, X is important, Y is important, sales is also important. Nowadays, you can see the advancement in technology and artificial intelligence. Everything is now becoming 90%, or some places even I would say, like in real estate, 99% of effort is put in sales, 1% on the product, right? So that's I know I'm saying something which will be very thought-provoking, but I just want the audience to know that, that was my journey, that to create value, we were obviously creating products in the banks. We were ensuring that we get as many customers for those products. And I had a variant journey from, business financial services to liability products to asset-backed products to Treasury. And then with Treasury, I moved to Reuters, where essentially Reuters is was the largest news agency in the world, but it's also news only is 8% of our revenues. 92% was from our financial services products. Now in the treasury space, we were dealing with banks, so banks were my customers, so I was on this side, and we used to sell them treasury solutions, risk management solutions. We would sell them decision support systems, transaction systems. So these were all the products, and that obviously when you do well, and this is the other, lot of people seek, how do I go abroad for a job? How do I get that crack? This gentleman managed to go to London, New York, Hong Kong. Now it's very simple. I would say, when you start in any multinational organization, and I was there in Standard Chartered also, I was given an opportunity to work outside India, but at that point I got Treasury, so I chose to move to Reuters. But the way you start is similar to cricket. You first play gully cricket, then you play at a state level, then you play at a Ranji level, then you go international. You don't say go international, because remember, when a company hires you, and I've hired employees in more than 100 countries, right? And I have gone and recruited from Columbia Business School, Cornell University. I've recruited from INSEAD. I've recruited from the IIMs and recruited from SPJ and my alma mater. And when you recruit, you know what you want, right? When as a recruiter, now I'm saying I'm a recruiter. So what I was trying to say is that when you're trying to recruit, you need to know what the organization requires. And when we used to recruit, we say, you know what, we need skills, we need knowledge, and we need experience in that space. So when you go to a business school, knowledge you get, skills you get, and you probably might get experience, might not get experience. So then you say, okay, when he joins the organization, which I did in Reuters, he does amazingly well. So he's now got the experience of selling my products in my context with my competitors in this country. Now he is ready to go to UK, where it's a different culture. Why would I take that risk on putting you straight in UK or Singapore on day one when you don't know these 4 things? When you know those 4 things, you've played the game, been at the top of it, you will get to the international level like our favorite Sachin Tendulkar, right? Well, then you are playing at an international level. Then you now got experience in doing in UK, so they said now come to US, and likewise. But one thing I'd like to say about the corporate experience, which is smashing the deadlines. This is a concept I always say essentially changed my career and my trajectory. So I was in London. We were in a, every quarter strategic meet. My boss was Mark Robson, and he, one of the colleagues in Germany said, I came up with an idea. Let's acquire this company, $25 million company in Germany. So all the colleagues concurred, yes, it's a great idea, but my boss said, no, you need to do due diligence. I said, okay, makes sense. So my boss asked the team, Mark asked the team, who will like to do the due diligence? My colleague Heiko from Dusseldorf, Germany said, I understand the German markets, I'd like to do it. Mark said, sure, Heiko, go ahead. How long will you take? He said 2 months. Okay. My good friend Michael McCockle from New York, he's American. Americans always like to get under the skin of the Germans since World War II. So he said, I'd like to do the due diligence. How long will you take, Mikey? And he said, 1 month. So the German got irritated. No, Mikey, we need to do this kind of detail. And then Mikey is like, no, fast. We got to get fast. So they were arguing with each other. I put up my hand.
Yeah.
And my boss said, Taryn. I was called Taryn there. So Taryn, what do you say? I said, Mark, I'd like to do the due diligence. How long will you take, Taryn? I said 2 weeks. The German and the American were shocked. They're like, what's wrong with you? And they pounced onto me. You don't know anything about Germany. You've never worked in the European markets. You have not done a single deal. You're going to mess it up, blah, blah, blah. They started, piling on. I was like, okay, right? My boss intervened and said, no, Taryn, do it. And I was like, okay, great. So the next moment I took a flight to Frankfurt next morning, and I'm in Frankfurt. Guess what? When I stepped off the tarmac, I was like, I have never done due diligence in my life. And here I've taken a panga, right? So what do I do? So anyway, back against the wall, I had to work 20-hour days, 14-hour days, 18-hour days, till I was in 2 weeks in a position to deliver the report. My boss was looking at the report, and when he's looking at the report, he's like, there's a mistake. And I was like, I'm going to get fired, right? Ekto, I've done it fast, and now I've made and it was a significant error. Anyway, he kept turning the pages, and he said, but it's got enough for us to take it to the next level, which is financial closure, non-disclosure agreements, and so on. And that was it, right? We won the deal, and I was feeling very happy. You know what? I was instrumental in this critical acquisition for Reuters. I forgot about that thing. 6 months later, my boss gives me a call, and he used to be based in New York. I was in London. He said, Taryn, come and let's meet today in New York for dinner. And I'm like, maybe he's actually come here and we have to meet here. But my secretary said, no, you got to do. So I flew business class to New York, got myself a brand new suit. I didn't know what the occasion was. At the dinner, my boss opens a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne, and he says, congratulations, Taryn, you're the new global CEO of the Treasury business. And I'm like, wow, laddu phoot rahe the. At that point, I was like, funnily, the first thought that came to my mind, ab hum goro pe raj karenge. Itne saal unhone hamare upar raj kiya. But that was just a joke apart. So I said, you know what? I need to, why me? Why me? Because all my colleagues, remember we had a global management team with Brits, Americans, Germans, French, Chinese, Japanese, Brazilian, all rock stars with 10 years more experience than me from Harvard, Wharton, Stanford. I was from no experience, very little experience from SP Jain. Great school in India, nobody's heard about it in London, New York. Yeah, there only Oxford, Harvard, Wharton stands out. So why me? He said, because you know how to smash the deadline. I said, why? What do you mean? He said, if you hadn't put in your bid for a 2-week due diligence, we would have lost a $25 million asset. I said, why? Our competitor Bloomberg had made a competing bid. Just because you could deliver that, we went forward, we won it. That's what it means. So winning and losing is that thinner margin. And smashing deadlines is what changes your game.
No doubt, being a rugby player for India, represented India in the sports of rugby, and that's in his blood to be aggressive, passionate, and meet the deadline. That's what we have seen his corporate journey, where he's more aggressive, and the approach what he had given towards the task, which was given in the span of couple of weeks, to what he had represented, is given his report, and which was taken into consideration. I think it's a very interesting episode what we are having on TEDx Ek Moon Soch Ki, exclusive story of Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand, who is a visionary leadership in the global education and the managing director of a universal business school in Karjat. Please stay in touch with TEDx Ek Moon Soch Ki on our next episode with Mr. Tarundeep Singh Anand. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir.
Thank you
very much.